Welcome to Sleepy Night Tales, where history becomes a lullaby and the past unfolds in quiet whispers. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale slowly through your nose, hold for a moment, and then exhale gently, letting the weight of the day drift away. Settle into a position that feels comfortable. Feel the mattress beneath you. Let your hands rest loosely. Let your jaw soften. Tonight, we'll step into a world far, far away, and yet strangely connected to us. Imagine if you closed your eyes and awoke thousands of years ago. What if you lived a day in ancient Egypt? The golden sun rising over the Nile, the call of ibis birds in the reeds, farmers bending over fields of grain, while in the distance great pyramids catch the first light of dawn. This is not a museum, not a textbook, but a living, breathing day in a land where gods walked with men, and the rhythm of the river was the heartbeat of an empire. Together, we'll journey from sunrise to sunset in ancient Egypt, walking through villages and temples, meeting farmers, scribes, and priests, feeling the pulse of one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. And slowly, gently, as we wander, the story will soften into silence, guiding you into dreams. So, when you're ready, let's begin. The night is almost gone, but not quite. Darkness still rests gently on the wide valley of the Nile, like a shawl drawn across the land. The stars sparkle faintly in the clear desert sky, and the air is cool, the kind of coolness that disappears quickly once the sun begins its climb. You lie on a simple reed mat, your body wrapped in a linen sheet, your ears full of the quiet murmur of life before dawn. Somewhere, a rooster calls. Somewhere else, a dog stirs in its sleep. And beneath all of it, like a pulse that never ceases, comes the sound of the river. The Nile flows steady, eternal, whispering against its banks, carrying with it the promise of life. For in this land of desert, sand, and stone, it is the river that breathes life into every field, every village, every mouthful of bread. Without it, there is nothing. With it, there is Egypt. Slowly, you rise. The mat crackles under your weight. Your house is small, made of mud brick, built by hands that shaped clay and straw into solid walls. It smells faintly of earth, of ash from last night's fire, of grain kept in jars against one wall. There are no decorations, but the simple necessities of life. A stool, a few baskets, a grinding stone. Yet the room feels warm, familiar, alive with quiet dignity. Outside, dawn begins. The horizon glows faintly with shades of violet and pale gold. You push aside a cloth that hangs over the doorway and step out. Cool air brushes your skin. Ahead of you lies the great river, glistening faintly in the dark. Its waters catch the first hints of sunlight, turning silver, then slowly deepening into hues of blue and gold. All around, your village begins to stir. Simple houses of mud bricks stand close together, narrow alleys between them. Smoke curls up from the first fires lit for bread. A child laughs softly. A mother hums as she ties her headscarf. A dog trots past, nose low to the ground, searching for scraps. And then, the sun. It rises suddenly, as though lifted by unseen hands. A ball of fire breaking the horizon, painting the river with molten light, turning the desert sands to gold. The world seems to glow. Palms stand tall, their fronds whispering in the breeze. Birds wheel and call overhead. Ibises, herons, the cry of a hawk cutting the sky. It is morning in ancient Egypt, and you are here. You breathe deeply, feeling the air warm against your chest. The smell of damp earth and fresh grain fills your nose. The sight of farmers already walking toward the fields fills your eyes. The sound of the Nile, the river of eternity, fills your ears. Life here follows the rhythm of the river. The flood, the planting, the harvest. The seasons are not measured by snow or rain, but by the Nile's moods. Inundation, when the river swells and spills across its banks, leaving behind rich black soil. Growth, when fields are green and alive with wheat and barley. Harvest, when the air is dry and golden, and men and women bend their backs to cut the grain. You will see all of this in a single day. For in this story, you are not a distant observer. You are a villager of ancient Egypt. You rise with the sun. You walk with your people. You live their world. Nearby, an old man clears his throat. He sits on a low stool outside his house, watching the sunrise with eyes that have seen it countless times before. His face is lined with age, his beard white, his skin weathered by years under the desert sun. Another day begins, he says softly, his voice like sand and honey. Ra rides his boat across the sky once more. May he bless the fields. May he bless our lives. You nod, though no words pass your lips. For this land is full of gods, and they are present in every breath. Ra, the sun god, blazing across the heavens. Osiris, lord of the afterlife, whose body is the fertile soil. Isis, mother of magic, whose love binds families together. Anubis, the jackal-headed guide of souls, walking silently in the shadows. The gods are not distant here. They are present in every sunrise, in every grain of wheat, in every heartbeat. The old man smiles faintly and returns to silence. Around you, the village hums to life. Women grind grain on stone slabs, the rhythmic scraping sound carrying through the morning air. Children chase one another barefoot, their laughter bright. Men shoulder tools, wooden plows, baskets for seed, and begin the slow walk toward the fields. And you follow. The path leads toward the river, where boats wait. Small wooden skiffs tied to posts, their hulls worn smooth by countless journeys. Farmers climb into them, pushing off with long poles, their voices low, their movements steady. The boats glide across the water, carrying them to fields that lie on the opposite bank, where the soil is richest. You step into one. The wood rocks beneath your feet. The water slaps gently against the sides. A farmer hands you a pole. and together you push the boat forward, the river swirling in soft eddies around you. The morning sun warms your back. The air smells of wet reeds. Birds rise in startled flocks as you pass. Reaching the far bank, you climb ashore. The land stretches wide before you, fields already alive with movement. Men guide oxen pulling wooden plows, the earth turning dark and rich under their weight. Women scatter seed from baskets, their hands moving in practiced arcs. Children run behind, laughing as they chase away birds eager to snatch the grain. The day has begun, and in this moment, under the rising sun, beside the eternal Nile, you realize this is life in ancient Egypt. Simple, harsh, beautiful, eternal. The morning grows brighter, the Nile gleaming now like a mirror to the sky. You walk with the farmers, your sandals brushing against reeds and sand, your ears full of the chatter of men who know one another's voices as well as their own. The village has emptied into the fields, for in this world, survival depends on the rhythm of labor. Before you stretches the fertile black soil of Kemet, the black land. It is soft and damp, enriched by the river's yearly flood. The contrast is stark. Behind you lies the endless red land, the desert, where nothing grows but stones and bones. Ahead of you lies life itself, green shoots pushing up toward the sun. The farmers waste no time. They move with practiced ease, their bodies bent to tasks repeated 1,000 times before. Wooden plows creak as oxen strain against harnesses. Men shout encouragement, their voices loud, their hands steady on the reins. The plow digs into the dark soil, turning it in ridges. Behind them, women scatter seeds in wide arcs, each motion smooth, graceful, unthinking. You watch, and soon your hands are full of work too. A basket of barley seed is pressed into your arms, rough against your palms. A woman with sun-darkened skin and hair bound tight gestures toward a freshly turned furrow. Without words, you know what to do. You walk slowly along the line of soil, scattering the seeds in a practiced rhythm. Your fingers open and close, open and close, as grain falls in little showers, sinking into the earth's waiting embrace. Above, the sun climbs higher. Its warmth is no longer gentle. It presses down upon your back, hot, insistent, relentless. Sweat beads on your brow. The fabric of your linen tunic clings to your shoulders. And yet, the work continues. No one slows. For here in Egypt, the river has given life, but life must be coaxed forward with hands, sweat, and endless patience. The oxen snort, pulling their plows deeper. Birds dart overhead, circling hungrily for seeds, but children chase them off with laughter and shouts. Their bare feet kick up dust. Their voices rise like song. For even here, in the harshness of the fields, joy finds its place. Nearby, a farmer pauses. His back bends, his hand pressing against the small of it. He looks to the sun, squints, and mutters a prayer. May Ra give us strength. May the soil remember us kindly. His words drift into the air like incense, carried by the heat, and vanish into silence. You glance around, realizing that prayer here is not something done in temples alone. It is woven into the rhythm of daily work. Every furrow turned, every seed scattered, every drop of sweat is part of a covenant with gods and land alike. If the Nile provides, if the sun shines, if the soil gives, then the people will endure. If not, then hunger waits. By midday, the air quivers with heat. The horizon shimmers, as if the desert itself has turned into water. Workers pause beneath palms at the edge of the fields. From woven baskets, they draw bread, flat, round, coarse. They dip it into bowls of beans and lentils, flavored with garlic and onion. A jug of beer, thick and cloudy, is passed from hand to hand. It is not the strong drink of feasts, but the daily bread of farmers. Nourishing, filling, cooling against the heat. You taste it, and it is simple, earthy, grounding. The beer is soft on the tongue, grainy, with a hint of sweetness. The bread is rough but warm. Together, they restore your strength. The workers talk as they eat. They speak of the flood's timing, of rumors from other villages, of a neighbor's daughter soon to be married. Their voices are low, steady, weaving community as much as food weaves life. Children nap in the shade, their small chests rising and falling with soft breaths. For a moment, the field is quiet, the heat pressing everything into stillness. Then, the sound of a flute. One of the young men has pulled out a reed flute from his belt. He raises it to his lips, and a thin, high song drifts into the air. It is simple, repeating, but it lifts the heart. A child claps, a woman hums. Even the oxen seem to pause, tails swishing lazily in rhythm. You lean back against the trunk of a palm tree, eyes half closed, listening. The flute song rises and falls like the Nile itself. It is not grand music meant for temples or pharaohs, but it is no less sacred. It is the song of life lived daily, of joy found in survival. But rest is brief. The sun waits for no one. Soon baskets are lifted again, plows set to earth, oxen urged forward. The rhythm resumes. The field becomes alive once more, a sea of movement, sweat, and prayer. And you, with soil still clinging to your fingertips, realize this is what survival in Egypt means. To endure the heat, to coax life from earth, to find joy in the smallest breath of music. As the day stretches onward, the heat deepens. Shadows shrink to almost nothing. The sky above is endless, vast, merciless. But the people endure, for they always have. You look to the horizon, and beyond the fields, beyond the palms, you see the faint outline of something greater. Rising against the desert is a shape that does not belong to fields or villages. A pyramid. Its sharp lines pierce the sky, its base wide as a mountain, its presence eternal. It glows under the sun, pale and blinding, a monument to pharaohs long dead. or perhaps never dead, depending on belief. For in Egypt, kings are not lost. They are reborn, eternal, walking with the gods. The pyramid is proof. It is a ladder to the heavens. And even from this distance, you feel its weight. The workers do not pause to look at it. For them, it is simply part of the world, as normal as the Nile, as constant as the sun. But for you, seeing it as though for the first time, it is awe made stone. You blink, the heat blurring your vision. The pyramid shimmers, then fades into haze, its lines softened by the quivering air. Was it truly there? Or was it a dream? The day wears on. The field grows quiet again as fatigue sets in. Farmers move slower, their voices hushed. Sweat streaks their faces. Dust clings to their arms, but still they work. For to stop is to risk hunger. And hunger in Egypt is a shadow no family wishes to know. At last, when the sun begins its slow descent, when the air cools fractionally and shadows stretch long once more, the work is done. Tools are gathered, baskets emptied, oxen untethered. The people walk together, back toward the river, their pace slow, weary, but steady. The Nile awaits. Its waters gleam with gold and crimson now, reflecting the dying sun. Boats are pushed into the current. Poles press against the riverbed, and soon the people glide back toward the village. Their voices are softer now, their bodies heavy with fatigue. But there is also peace in their silence, for the day's work is behind them. You lean against the side of the boat, watching the water ripple past. The sky deepens into shades of orange and violet. Birds wheel overhead, flying home to their nests. The world softens, and as the boat drifts, you realize this day has been ordinary. Nothing miraculous, nothing legendary. Yet within it lies the heart of ancient Egypt. Work, prayer, music, community. The river carries you back to the village, back to the mud brick houses, back to the life that beats quietly, steadily, eternally in this land of gods and sand. The boat drifts back toward the village. The Nile, now bathed in amber, reflects the last light of Ra, as though holding the sun's fire in its ripples. The air has cooled, the earlier heat softened into a gentle warmth that lingers on your skin. The farmers, weary but content, guide the boat toward the bank, where mud brick homes rise in clusters along the shore. Children run to greet them, their laughter carrying across the water. Some splash into the shallows, eager to help tie the boats with coarse ropes. Women appear at the river's edge with baskets, calling softly to their families, their voices both urgent and tender, wrapping around the men like a balm after a long day's labor. You step onto the bank, your legs heavy, your sandals damp with Nile water. The village is alive with sound, goats bleating, dogs barking, clay pots clinking, fires crackling as meals are prepared. Yet there is no chaos here, only rhythm, as though each sound fits into the great song of evening. The smell of food drifts through the air, lentils simmering in clay pots, onions roasting over open flames, bread baking in mud ovens, its crust crisping, its aroma rich and earthy. Hunger stirs in your belly, though it is softened by the fatigue of the day. Inside one home, you are welcomed. The interior is dim, lit by oil lamps that flicker softly, painting the mud brick walls in waves of golden light. The floor is cool beneath your feet, the air scented with smoke, bread, and the faint sweetness of honey. A low, wooden table stands at the center, surrounded by reed mats. The family gathers. The father sits cross-legged, his hands still rough with soil. The mother places bowls upon the table, lentils stewed with garlic, bread warm from the oven, cucumbers sliced fresh, and a small dish of dates. Beer, thick and foamy, is poured into clay cups. Children crowd close, their eyes bright with hunger and curiosity, their laughter filling the room like music. You join them. The bread is torn and passed hand to hand, dipped into stew, eaten with eagerness. The beer cools your throat, grounding you after the day's heat. Conversation flows, simple yet full of life, about the crops, the behavior of oxen, the health of neighbors, the rumors of tax collectors traveling through nearby villages. And beneath it all, always, the presence of the gods. The father raises his hand before the meal begins, murmuring a prayer. May Osiris bless the fields. May Hathor bless our hearth. May Ra rise tomorrow and see us again. The family bows their heads. A moment of silence. Then the meal continues. It is clear that in this land, every act, no matter how ordinary, is sacred. Eating, working, sleeping, all are threads in the divine tapestry. When the meal is finished, the family does not hurry. The children curl against their mother, drowsy from food. The father leans back, his eyes half closed, humming an old song beneath his breath. The mother rises to place offerings in a small household shrine, a simple niche in the wall, where a clay figure of Hathor smiles serenely, her cow horn crown painted with care. She places bread and a few drops of beer before the goddess, whispering a prayer for protection through the night. You watch, and it feels both humble and eternal. This is not the grandeur of temples or pyramids, but the faith of daily life. It is here, in these small homes, that Egypt's spirit breathes. Later, the village gathers outside, where the air is cool and the stars are beginning to prick the velvet sky. A circle of families forms, children at the front, elders at the center, voices low but eager. Storytelling time has come. An old man, his hair white as desert salt, begins. His voice is soft, yet it carries across the group. Each word measured, steady, like the flow of the Nile. He tells of Ra's journey across the sky, of how he sails his golden boat by day, bringing light and warmth, and how at night he descends into the underworld, battling the great serpent Apophis, so that dawn may return. The children gasp at the mention of the serpent, eyes wide, clutching at their mother's arms. But the old man smiles, reassuring them. Ra always triumphs, always. For that is why the sun has never failed to rise. He tells, too, of Isis, the great mother, who gathered the broken pieces of her husband Osiris and brought him back to life with her love and magic. Her devotion gave birth to Horus, the falcon-eyed god who avenged his father and brought order to the world. The old man's voice trembles slightly, but his eyes shine. The story is more than myth. It is a reminder of resilience, of life that endures beyond loss, of hope reborn even from death. As he speaks, the fire crackles, sparks rising like stars joining their brothers in the sky. The villagers listen in silence, their breaths slowing, their eyes heavy. The night deepens, soft, protective. Somewhere in the distance, the Nile whispers, its waters gliding through reeds. Frogs croak softly along the banks. The air smells of smoke, earth, and jasmine carried on the night breeze. It is a lullaby, woven from the land itself. When the story ends, the villagers linger. Mothers hum to their children, rocking them gently. Men murmur to one another, voices low, fading into yawns. The old storyteller leans back, eyes closed, as though drifting into dreams, shaped by his own words. You look upward. The stars are endless, scattered like jewels across black silk. The Milky Way stretches above, a river of light mirroring the Nile below. For the Egyptians, this is not coincidence. It is Ma'at, the divine order, the balance between earth and heaven, the truth that binds all things. In this moment, you feel it too. The balance, the harmony, the peace of being small beneath eternity, yet belonging to it completely. The night grows deeper. Families retreat into their homes, one by one. Fires burn low, flickering softly before dying into embers. The village quiets. The fields sleep. Even the river seems slower, softer. Inside the house, oil lamps glow faintly, casting gentle light across the walls. The family you have joined settles onto reed mats spread across the floor. Children curl together like kittens, their breaths soft and even. The mother hums one last tune, her voice low, soothing. The father stretches out, his body heavy with fatigue, his face softened by peace. You lie down too, the mat firm beneath you, the linen cloth cool against your skin. The air carries the faint scent of smoke and bread. The lamp flickers, then dims. Shadows lengthen, blending into silence. Outside, the desert holds the village like a cradle. Stars watch overhead, eternal and kind. The gods are near, in every breath of wind, in every ripple of water, in every beat of your heart. And as your eyes grow heavy, you realize that this simple cycle of work, prayer, family, and rest is the secret to Egypt's endurance. Not just the pyramids, not just the temples, but the quiet, unshakable rhythm of daily life. Sleep gathers around you like linen cloth. The world fades into dream, and Egypt, eternal Egypt, whispers its lullaby. Work in the day, rest in the night. Trust the river. Trust the gods. Life flows on. The morning comes quietly, as it always does in the land of the Nile. The first rays of Ra climb gently over the horizon, painting the river in streams of gold. The air is cool, hushed, the world not yet stirred into its daily rhythm. A thin mist hovers above the fields, and in the distance, you see the silhouette of pylons, massive temple gateways, rising like mountains carved by gods. Today, your path will not lead to the fields or the workshops, but into the sacred heart of Egypt, the temples. These are not simply places of worship. They are worlds within worlds, where men and gods meet, where prayers shape eternity. The village stirs slowly. Priests have already bathed in the Nile before dawn, purifying themselves for rituals ahead. Their bodies are shaved, their linen robes fresh, their skin scented with oils of lotus and frankincense. Every gesture, every word they will speak today has been rehearsed for generations, as though time itself has become ritual. You walk along the riverbank toward the grand temple, its pylons towering, decorated with carvings of gods and kings. Enormous figures of Pharaoh smite enemies in stone relief, while hawks of Horus spread their wings above doorways. Columns rise like palm trees, their capitals blooming with lotus and papyrus. The sight overwhelms you, as though you are entering a forest made not of wood, but of stone and memory. The air shifts as you step inside. Sunlight streams through high openings, falling in shafts upon hieroglyphs carved deep into the walls. Shadows flicker, broken by flames from braziers. The temple breathes in rhythm, a silence both heavy and alive, as though the gods themselves are listening. Priests move like shadows. Some carry trays of offerings, loaves of bread, jars of beer, figs, and incense. Others sweep the stone floors with palm branches, ensuring purity in every corner. Their voices rise in chants, slow and steady, resonant like the hum of bees in a summer field. At the innermost chamber, the sanctuary, rests the shrine, a small gilded structure that holds the image of the god. Few may enter here. Only the high priest and Pharaoh himself are granted the honor. For the gods are not distant to the Egyptians. They are present, embodied in statues, in symbols, in every breath of air. You watch as the ritual begins. A priest kneels before the shrine, lighting incense. Smoke rises, curling in thin silver threads, filling the chamber with the fragrance of cedar and myrrh. He speaks words of devotion, voice steady and soft. Awake, O Ra. Rise with the dawn. Shine upon your children, and grant life to the two lands. The offering is placed, the statue anointed with oils, the doors of the shrine opened so the god may gaze upon his people. The act is simple, yet in it lies the belief that without this daily ritual, the sun itself might falter, the Nile might fail, the world might unravel. Outside the sanctuary, scribes record offerings on rolls of papyrus, their reed pens scratching softly. They tally bread, count cattle, note every jar of honey and grain. For temples are not only sacred, they are also storehouses, treasuries, schools, and courts. They pulse with life, feeding the poor, employing laborers, teaching children to read the sacred signs. You wander deeper into the complex. Courtyards open wide, filled with columns painted in hues of red, blue, and green, though faded now by centuries. Reliefs tell stories of creation, of gods battling chaos, of Pharaoh offering Mot, the principle of truth and order, to the gods. Each wall is a book, each carving a prayer. As you gaze upward, the columns seem endless, their tops shaped like papyrus blossoms reaching for the sky. The roof is painted with stars, a night sky preserved in stone, reminding worshippers that they stand within the cosmos itself. The people of the village arrive with offerings. A woman carries a basket of onions, her son clinging to her hand. A farmer brings a goat, guiding it gently by a rope. An old man offers a clay jar of beer, bowing deeply before the gates. These gifts, humble or grand, are not merely food. They are threads binding mortal life to the eternal. And as the offerings pile high, the temple itself becomes a heartbeat. Priests chant, drums echo, incense swirls, and the great structure hums with devotion. Yet outside the main rituals, the temple grounds carry a quieter life. Children run along the outer walls, their laughter echoing. Merchants set up small stalls, selling amulets shaped like scarabs and ankhs, charms meant to protect against misfortune. A scribe sits beneath a palm, offering to write letters for those who cannot. A musician plucks at a lyre, its notes drifting like sunlight across stone. The temple is not distant from daily life. It is woven into it. Here, the sacred and the ordinary walk hand in hand, inseparable. By midday, the heat presses heavy upon the land. Priests retreat into shaded halls, their voices quieter now, their chants slower. The great rituals have been performed. The gods have been honored. The temple breathes into silence. Its stones cool, its shadows deep. You step into one of the shaded halls, where carvings line the walls in endless rows. Here, you see not only gods and kings, but also scenes of daily life. Farmers plowing, bakers kneading dough, fishermen casting nets. Even within the temple, life itself is honored, preserved in stone. The air is cooler here, the silence soothing. You run your fingers lightly over the hieroglyphs, their grooves deep, their edges softened by time. Each symbol feels alive, carrying whispers of those who carved them, of the prayers they carried. In a side chamber, a priest sits cross-legged, reading from a papyrus scroll. His lips move silently, his eyes tracing the ancient words. When he finishes, he rolls the papyrus carefully, places it in a chest, and bows before a small statue of Thoth, god of wisdom. You realize that the temple is not just a place of worship. It is also a place of knowledge, of memory, of learning. It is a library of stone, a sanctuary of wisdom passed down through generations. The hours slip by, soft as sand through fingers. Shadows lengthen, voices fade. The temple quiets, settling into its evening rhythm. The last offerings are placed. The incense burns low. The great doors begin to close. Outside, the sun sets once more, painting the sky in shades of crimson and violet. The pylons glow in the fading light, their carvings sharp against the horizon. Villagers begin their walk home, baskets lighter, hearts steadier, prayers whispered beneath their breath. The Nile flows steadily, reflecting the colors of the sky. Birds settle in the reeds. The air cools, carrying the scent of water, smoke, and lotus blossoms. You linger a moment, gazing back at the temple, its silhouette vast and unyielding, yet peaceful. It is not only a building, it is Egypt itself, eternal, balanced, rooted in faith. The night deepens, and you feel the quiet of the temple seep into you. Your breath slows, your body softens, your thoughts drift like smoke. The stars awaken above, scattering their silver across the desert sky. And as the temple settles into silence, so do you. The dawn arrives differently when you walk toward the palace. The temple breathes of devotion and ritual, but the palace, this is the heartbeat of earthly power. The rising sun glints off polished limestone walls, its light catching banners that sway gently in the desert breeze. Beyond the city streets, where bakers knead bread and farmers load baskets for the day's markets, a different rhythm hums, the rhythm of command. You pass through wide avenues lined with sycamores and palms, their leaves whispering with the Nile wind. The palace looms ahead, vast and sprawling, its gates carved with falcons and cobras, the symbols of protection and sovereignty. Guarding the entrance are soldiers, spears gleaming, linen kilts pressed, eyes sharp yet still softened by the golden hour. They stand not only as protectors of the palace, but as protectors of the divine presence within it. For Pharaoh is no mere king. He is Horus on earth. You step past the great gates and into courtyards open to the sky. Pools shimmer with lotus blossoms, their petals slowly unfolding to meet the day. Birds flit between palm trees, their songs rising like a hymn to the morning. The palace smells faintly of myrrh and cedar wood, scents that drift from storerooms where oils and incense are kept ready for ceremonies. Servants move silently along the corridors, carrying baskets of fruit, folded linens, jugs of beer, and scrolls for the scribes. Their feet patter softly against stone floors, polished smooth by centuries of steps. Each knows their place, each their role in this grand performance of life around Pharaoh. Then, the palace doors open. Pharaoh emerges, not only as a man, but as a vision. His skin glows with scented oils, his head crowned with the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. Around his neck rests a broad collar of gold and lapis lazuli, shining as though the very sky and sun had been captured in jewels. He moves with measured grace, his steps deliberate, his presence commanding. All bow low as he passes, foreheads nearly to the floor, voices murmuring blessings. Life, prosperity, health. For in Pharaoh's body lives not just flesh and blood, but divinity itself. He is the son of Ra, chosen to uphold Ma'at, truth, balance, justice, so that the world may continue. His word is not advice, not suggestion. It is law, as unshakable as the flood of the Nile, as eternal as the stars above. Inside the palace, halls stretch vast and ornate. Columns rise like forests of stone, their surfaces painted with scenes of conquest, tribute, and divine blessings. Floors gleam with alabaster tiles. Windows filter sunlight into shafts of soft gold, illuminating carved reliefs of Pharaoh offering Ma'at to the gods. Everywhere, the presence of eternity. You are led into the audience hall, where dignitaries and envoys gather. Their robes shimmer, their heads bowed. Some carry gifts, ivory from Nubia, incense from Punt, cedar wood from Lebanon. They approach with reverence, laying their offerings at Pharaoh's feet, voices trembling as they speak. For before him, even foreign kings lower their gaze. Pharaoh sits upon his throne, carved of ebony and inlaid with gold. Lions' heads guard its arms, their eyes glinting with inlaid gems. Behind him rises a fan of ostrich feathers, swaying gently as servants wave them to keep him cool. The throne itself rests upon a dais, elevating him above all others. A reminder that while others live upon earth, Pharaoh stands between earth and sky. Advisors whisper reports of harvests, of border skirmishes, of temple construction. Scribes record every word. Military commanders kneel, awaiting instruction. The atmosphere is hushed but tense. Every decision here shapes the lives of thousands. Yet Pharaoh listens calmly, nods once, and speaks with measured tone. His words, though few, ripple outward like waves across the Nile. But Pharaoh is not only ruler, he is also father, son, husband, and man. Beyond the audience hall lie private chambers where his wives and children live. Queens and consorts walk through perfumed gardens, their jewelry glittering in the sun. Children chase one another around lotus ponds, laughter echoing beneath the colonnades. Nurses tend to the youngest, while tutors teach the older children hieroglyphs and the wisdom of the past. The palace is not just a place of rule, it is also a home, alive, with warmth and daily rhythms. In the women's quarters, music drifts softly, harps, flutes, and the gentle beat of drums. Dancers move gracefully, their linen dresses flowing like water, their anklets jingling in rhythm. They entertain not only Pharaoh, but also the household, turning ordinary afternoons into moments of beauty. Perfumed oils are poured into golden bowls, their fragrances rising like prayers to Hathor, goddess of joy and love. Meanwhile, in the palace kitchens, cooks prepare meals fit for gods and men alike. Bread bakes in clay ovens, fish sizzle over flames, honey drips from combs into jars. Platters of figs, dates, cucumbers, and roasted duck are set upon low tables. Beer foams in jugs, and wine imported from distant lands fills delicate cups. The scent of coriander and garlic lingers in the air, mingling with roasting meat. Every detail, every bite, is an offering of abundance, proof of Pharaoh's ability to provide for his people. By midday, the palace grows hushed again. Pharaoh retreats to shaded halls to rest, his body reclining upon cushions of fine linen, servants fanning him gently. Outside, the world bakes in the desert sun, but inside, cool shadows stretch across walls of painted lotus and falcons. As the afternoon passes, life in the palace stirs once more. Pharaoh reviews plans for monuments, temples to the gods, tombs for eternity, colossal statues carved to guard his memory. Architects unroll scrolls, pointing to designs that will reshape the very skyline. Craftsmen bring models of obelisks, miniature sphinxes, models of pylons. Pharaoh studies them silently, then gestures approval. Soon, quarries will thunder with chisels, and villages will swell with laborers. Stone by stone, his reign will be immortalized. Evening comes, and the palace transforms again. The air cools, the scent of lotus drifts stronger from gardens, torches flicker along the walls. Pharaoh dines with his family and closest advisors. Harpists pluck slow, soothing melodies. Stories are told of victories, of ancestors, of the gods who guided them all. The mood softens, the weight of rulership set aside for a brief moment. Later still, under the stars, Pharaoh steps into the courtyard. The sky stretches endless, the Milky Way, a river of light mirroring the Nile below. He lifts his face to the heavens, knowing he is both mortal and eternal, destined to one day join the gods among the stars. In this quiet, he is not conqueror, not ruler, but dreamer, a man who carries the weight of Ma'at, yet also the fragile breath of life. And as night deepens, the palace rests. Guards pace slowly along the walls, their torches glowing. Servants retire to their quarters. Queens and children drift into slumber. Pharaoh himself lies upon linen sheets, the cool night breeze drifting through carved stone windows. The palace breathes as the temples breathe, as the Nile breathes, as Egypt itself breathes, steady, eternal, alive. And in that rhythm, you too feel your breath slow. The weight of the day slips away, replaced by calm. The palace grows still. The night sky deepens. Stars whisper silently above. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you are Pharaoh too, timeless, unshaken, resting beneath eternity's gaze. The desert night is quiet, yet beneath its stillness, something eternal stirs. Out here, far from the hum of the palace and the laughter of villages, another Egypt waits. The Valley of the Kings lies silent, its cliffs like great guardians rising against the starlit sky. By day, the sun beats hard upon these ridges. By night, they glow faintly silver beneath the moon. This is no place for the living. It is a place where kings prepare to dream forever. You walk slowly through the valley floor. The sand crunches softly underfoot. each step echoing in the silence. Torches flicker near a tomb entrance, where workers and priests have labored for decades, carving deep into the heart of the mountain. The scent of fresh-cut limestone lingers in the air. This is not a monument for the world to admire above ground. This is a hidden passage, a sacred journey that begins in darkness. The tombs of Egypt are unlike any other. They are not simply graves, but gateways, designed to carry the pharaoh from the mortal world to the eternal. Long corridors twist and descend, their walls alive with painted scenes. Gods with animal heads guiding souls across the waters, serpents coiling in fire, pharaohs offering Ma'at to the sun. Every figure, every word of hieroglyph carved and painted here is a spell, a prayer, a map for the soul to follow. Step into one of these chambers, and the air grows cooler, the silence heavier. The walls glow faintly where colors still linger, ochre, blue, and green, preserved by centuries. You see the Book of the Dead unfurl upon the stone, a guidebook for eternity. Spells to open gates, hymns to protect the soul from demons, instructions to sail with Ra upon his solar boat. These were not decorations, but necessities. Without them, the soul would wander, lost in darkness. With them, the pharaoh could find his way to the field of reeds, the paradise of Egypt's afterlife. Imagine the moment when a pharaoh's body is laid here, wrapped in linen, layer upon layer. The body is transformed into a vessel for eternity. Resin seals the wrappings. Amulets are placed within. An eye of Horus to ward off harm. Scarabs carved with prayers. A heart scarab inscribed with spells to protect against judgment. The mask of gold, shaped in the likeness of the pharaoh, rests upon the face, its gaze eternal, its smile serene. The priests chant softly as they seal the sarcophagus. Their voices echo through the chamber, words older than memory, vibrations that carry through stone. They sing of Osiris, Lord of the afterlife, of Isis and Nephthys who guard the dead, of Anubis who guides the soul. Their chants are not mournful, but steady, rhythmic, like the Nile itself. For in Egypt, death is not an end, it is a journey. At the heart of this ritual lies the great trial, the weighing of the heart. The Egyptians believed that upon death, a man's heart would be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the feather of truth. If the heart was lighter, the soul was pure, and paradise awaited. If heavier, burdened with lies, cruelty, or imbalance, the heart would be devoured by Ammit, the fearsome creature with the jaws of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the haunches of a hippopotamus. To be devoured was to cease forever, erased from existence. So the tombs prepared pharaohs not only with treasures of gold and jewels, but also with words, spells, and wisdom. For in the end, it was not wealth, but truth that opened the gates of eternity. You move deeper into the tomb, the air cool and heavy, your torchlight dancing across painted walls. Scenes unfold like dreams. Ra, sailing across the night sky in his boat of fire, battling the great serpent Apophis who seeks to devour the sun. Each night, Ra journeys through the underworld. Each dawn, he is reborn. And so too would Pharaoh, if the rituals were kept, if the prayers were spoken. The burial chamber lies at the end, vast and solemn. Here rests the sarcophagus, carved from red granite, immense and unyielding. Its lid bears the likeness of the pharaoh, arms crossed, crook and flail in hand. Around it are treasures, chests filled with clothing, jars of wine and honey, statues of servants to serve him in eternity, boats carved of wood meant to carry him across celestial waters, games to amuse him, weapons to defend him, jewelry to adorn him. Everything he might need in the afterlife is placed here, waiting. And yet, beyond the treasure, there is silence. Silence so deep, it hums. The weight of eternity presses on your chest, a reminder that here, beneath mountains of stone, kings sleep forever. Their names etched into walls, their dreams painted in color, their souls wandering through the endless night toward dawn. Outside, the cliffs watch, as they have for millennia. Stars scatter across the desert sky, silent witnesses to the lives that came and went. The Nile flows endlessly in the distance, its waters carrying reeds, fish, and the voices of the living. But here, in the Valley of the Kings, only whispers remain. Whispers of chisels striking stone, whispers of chants fading into air, whispers of eternity. And yet, listen closely. Even in this stillness, there is a comfort, for the Egyptians believed that death was not darkness, but light unseen. That within these tombs, within these painted walls, life continued in another form. That Pharaoh, once a ruler of men, would rise again as a star in the sky, as eternal as Ra, as endless as the Nile. You sit upon the cool floor of the burial chamber, your torch casting shadows across painted gods. The air is heavy, but your breath slows. The walls seem to shimmer faintly, their colors alive in the flicker of flame. You imagine the priests long gone, their chants echoing still. You imagine Pharaoh's soul, light as a feather, moving beyond, into fields of eternal green, into waters that never run dry. And slowly, the tomb grows dreamlike. The torch dims, though its flame still burns. The silence thickens into comfort, wrapping you like linen. Your eyes grow heavy, your body softens against stone. The Valley of the Kings sleeps. Pharaohs dream beneath mountains. The stars watch above, and you too drift between worlds, alive, yet already dreaming, as Egypt intended. Far from the gilded tombs of pharaohs, far from the secret valleys where kings sleep in granite beds, another Egypt whispers. It is not the Egypt of palaces, but of villages, mud brick houses clustered by the Nile, reed baskets filled with bread loaves, cooling in the morning sun, children running barefoot between fields of wheat and barley. Here, the rhythm of life is steady, humble, and endlessly tied to the river. Each year, the Nile rises, spilling its dark, fertile silt across the land, and each year, the farmers return to sow their seeds. Women grind grain on stone slabs, the sound of pestle against mortar echoing like a heartbeat in the courtyard. Fishermen push boats onto the calm current, nets trailing into green water where tilapia glimmer like coins. Life is simple, yet in every gesture lies devotion, every action an offering to the gods. And yet, death came here too. Not with gold, not with armies of priests, but with quiet certainty. The farmer who worked the fields all his life, the potter who shaped clay with aching hands, the mother who sang lullabies at dusk. They too dreamed of eternity. Their journey into the afterlife was different from the pharaoh's, but it was no less vivid, no less sacred. Step now into a modest tomb, one dug not into a mountain's heart, but built of mud brick or cut shallow into soft limestone. The walls are smaller, the chambers narrower, but still, scenes unfold here. A man plows a field while oxen pull his plow. A woman offers bread and beer to Osiris. Children are painted as forever young, forever joyful, running beneath a painted sun. These are not scenes of gods alone, but of daily life frozen into eternity. For ordinary Egyptians believed the afterlife was not some strange, otherworldly paradise. It was their world, perfected. They called it the Field of Reeds, a land where crops grew without end, where the Nile's waters never failed, where no drought, no hunger, no fear could ever touch them. Here, families reunited. Here, the toil of farming became joy. The bending of the back became ease. The work of the hands became fulfillment. To live in the Field of Reeds was to live the best of Egypt forever. But how did a farmer, a potter, a mother, a child reach this paradise? Just as Pharaoh, they too faced the weighing of the heart. Their lives, lived in simplicity, in laughter, in prayer, were measured by Ma'at, the balance of truth. If they had been kind, if they had shared bread with the hungry, if they had spoken truth and honored the gods, their hearts would be light, and Osiris would welcome them. The burial itself was often humble. A body wrapped in linen, perhaps without gold, but with care. Sometimes wooden coffins, painted with hieroglyphs and prayers. Sometimes only a simple wrapping and a jar of beer. A loaf of bread placed nearby. A scarab might be pressed into the wrappings, its inscription a plea: "Do not stand as witness against me." Even the poorest sought words to guide their soul, for even the poorest deserved eternity. Families gathered for the burial. They wept, yes, but they also sang. The priest, perhaps only a village priest, not one from great temples, spoke words of Osiris. Incense rose into the air, the scent sharp and sweet, curling toward the heavens. Children clutched their mother's hands as the tomb was sealed, and then life went on. Fields still needed tending, bread still needed baking, nets still needed mending. Yet in every dawn, in every offering placed upon a household shrine, The dead were remembered, their names spoken so they might live again. In the evening, as families sat together by oil lamps, they told stories of those who had passed. Grandfathers were imagined fishing in the eternal Nile. Mothers were thought of baking bread beneath golden skies. Children asked questions about the gods, and parents answered with gentle voices. Anubis will guide us. Osiris will welcome us. We will see one another again in the field of reeds. Death in Egypt was softened by story. Imagine a quiet courtyard at night. A family gathers. The stars shimmer above, the same stars that pharaohs painted into their tombs, the same stars that the poorest farmer could see when he looked up from his field. The children lean against their grandmother's lap, listening to tales of Ra's daily journey across the sky, of Nut, the goddess who swallows the sun each night and births it each dawn. These are not abstract myths. They are comfort, wrapping the family in certainty that the world is ordered, balanced, eternal. And so, the people of Egypt lived not in fear of death, but in preparation for life beyond. They lived with Ma'at in their hearts, with kindness in their actions, because they knew every deed mattered. The gods watched, but not cruelly. They watched as parents tucked their children into bed, as farmers gave offerings at shrines, as neighbors shared grain in hard years. And in those small acts, the Egyptians found immortality. The tombs of ordinary Egyptians did not glitter with treasure, yet they glittered with meaning. Clay Ushabti figurines, small servant statues, were placed beside the body to work in the afterlife so the deceased might rest. Jars of food and drink so they would not hunger. Amulets shaped like ankhs, the symbol of life. Every gift, every carving, every word whispered into the darkness carried love. And in that love, eternity was found. The Nile flowed endlessly. The sun rose and set endlessly. And the people of Egypt, rich or poor, king or farmer, believed that they too flowed endlessly, that they were part of something vast, cyclical, eternal. Now, as you rest in this story, imagine yourself among them. Imagine lying upon a reed mat beneath the stars, hearing the river's hush in the distance. Imagine your family close, the warmth of their presence steady. The gods watch over you, but so too do the stars, the fields, the river. You are part of Ma'at. You are balanced. You are eternal. Your breath slows. Your body softens. The story of the people's eternal dream becomes your dream too. The story of Egypt is long, so long that even the stones grew weary of holding it. For thousands of years, pharaohs had ruled, temples had risen, and the Nile had carried life from one generation to the next. But no civilization, however mighty, remains unchanged forever. As centuries passed, new rulers came. The power of the pharaohs waned, foreign armies marched, and the great temples of gods like Amun and Ra began to fall silent. Yet through it all, the Nile still flowed, steady and eternal, as though it whispered, "Kingdoms come and go, but the river remains." Imagine yourself standing at the edge of that river now, but not in the bright golden age of pyramids. Instead, you stand in a quieter Egypt. The air is heavy with the scent of water and reeds. Birds skim the surface of the river, their wings brushing ripples into silver light. In the distance, the ruins of a once great temple rise. Its columns cracked, its paint faded, yet still majestic, even in decay. The people of this Egypt lived differently from those of the Old Kingdom. Many no longer believed their kings were gods. Many no longer had the wealth to carve vast tombs. Yet still, the rituals remained. Offerings were still placed on household shrines. Farmers still whispered prayers to Osiris at planting time. Mothers still told their children that Ra carried the sun across the sky. Life went on, gentler now, more fragile. Dynasties shifted like the desert winds. Libyans, Nubians, Persians, Greeks, all came to rule Egypt in turn. Each left traces of their presence in the land, but the soul of Egypt endured. Quiet, persistent, like the heartbeat of the earth. Imagine a farmer in this later Egypt, standing in his small field at dusk. He looks upon the same stars that guided his ancestors thousands of years before. His plow is simple, his harvest uncertain. Yet when he lifts his eyes, he feels part of something vast. Even as empires fall, the constellations do not. Orion still hunts the sky. The Milky Way still arcs across the heavens. For him, eternity is not carved in stone, but written in the stars. And so Egypt softened into memory. Cities that once bustled with scribes and merchants grew quiet. The markets that once rang with voices from Nubia, from Crete, from Babylon, grew sparse. Great statues toppled, their faces worn smooth by wind and sand. Columns fell, their fragments scattered like bones across the desert. Yet even in ruin, beauty lingered. Travelers who came centuries later wrote of their awe. They described temples half buried in sand, statues so vast that even fallen, they dwarfed a man. They marveled at pyramids still standing, though their limestone casings had been stripped away. They spoke of obelisks rising like fingers of stone into the sky. Even broken, Egypt was magnificent. Imagine now walking through one of these abandoned temples. The roof has collapsed. The halls are open to the sky. Vines creep up fallen walls. The sound of birds echoes in chambers where once priests chanted. The scent of incense is gone, replaced by dust and earth. Yet in the silence, you can still feel something, an echo. The walls still hum with memory. The carvings still speak, if you lean close enough to hear. This was the Egypt of fading echoes, where memory outlasted power. Foreign rulers claimed the throne, yet even they bowed before Egypt's majesty. Alexander the Great came, and in awe, he was crowned pharaoh. Rome came, and its emperors carved their names beside hieroglyphs. Even as others ruled, Egypt remained itself, eternal in spirit. For the ordinary people, life was little different. They still sowed grain, fished the Nile, told stories by lamplight. Children still laughed. Lovers still carved their names into stones. Though the gods shifted, though languages changed, the Nile anchored them. It was a comfort, a certainty, a reminder that life flowed endlessly. Now, as you listen, let yourself drift into that flow. Hear the hush of the river in your mind. Picture the reeds swaying gently, their feathery tops catching the evening light. Picture the desert beyond, endless and soft, glowing under the silver of the moon. Picture the stars, bright and patient, keeping watch as they always have. Time moves slowly here, almost dreamlike. You feel your body sink into stillness, as though you too are becoming part of the river's eternal rhythm. Every breath you take matches the quiet rise and fall of the water. Every thought drifts away like a leaf carried downstream. The fading echoes of Egypt remind us that nothing is lost. Empires may fall, temples may crumble, but memory endures. The names of kings may fade, but the laughter of a child, the kindness of a farmer, the devotion of a mother, those linger. They are carried by the river, by the stars, by the stones themselves. So now, in this chapter, let yourself soften. Let the weight of history drift gently into silence. Let the Nile carry you. Feel the cool night air wrap around you. Feel your breath deepen, slower now, quieter now. The story of Egypt is almost done, but it will never truly end. For as long as the Nile flows, as long as the stars shine, Egypt will remain. And you, listening now, are part of that same eternity. The night has deepened over Egypt. The stars wheel slowly in their ancient patterns, just as they did when pyramids were new, just as they did when pharaohs raised their hands in prayer. The constellations drift above the desert, above the temples, above the river, unchanged, eternal. The Nile flows on, dark now, gleaming only where the moonlight brushes its surface. Along its banks, villages rest. Lamps glow faintly in a few windows, but most are dark. Families have settled into sleep. Their breathing is slow, their dreams gentle, as if carried by the rhythm of the water itself. You walk in silence along the edge of the river. The sand is cool beneath your feet. The breeze is soft against your skin. The night is so still that every sound feels magnified. The chirp of a cricket, the rustle of reeds, the faint splash of a fish breaking the surface. Ahead, you see the silhouette of a great temple. Its walls are worn, its roof broken, but its columns still rise proudly into the sky. You step closer, and the stones seem to glow under the moon. They whisper not in words, but in presence. We remain. The gods may no longer be worshipped here. The chants may no longer echo, yet the sacredness lingers. The longer you stand there, the more you feel yourself dissolving into the quiet. Your thoughts soften, your breath slows. You begin to realize that Egypt's greatest gift is not only its monuments, but its silence. A silence that stretches across millennia, across dynasties, across the endless flow of time. Close your eyes now. Picture yourself floating on the Nile at night. The water cradles you gently. The sky above is vast and full of stars. The river carries you forward without effort, without destination. You are weightless. You are timeless. You are part of the same current that carried priests and pharaohs, farmers and fishermen, lovers and children. The sound of your breath becomes the sound of the river. The beat of your heart becomes the pulse of the earth. You are no longer separate from Egypt. You are Egypt, its stones, its waters, its endless night. The world around you drifts into shadow, then into stillness, then into dream. And as you let go, you feel one final truth. Egypt has always endured, not because of stone, but because of the human spirit, quiet, eternal, endless as the Nile. And so the chapter closes, like the night itself, guiding you deeper into rest. Take one last, slow breath. Inhale deeply and exhale softly. You have walked the sands of Egypt. You have stood among temples. You have felt the Nile's gentle current, and now you rest. The stories of kings, of builders, of farmers, they all fade into the hush of night. Stone dissolves into shadow. Voices dissolve into silence. Only the rhythm of your breath remains. The pyramids stand tall, but they do not ask for anything of you. The Nile flows endlessly, but it carries you with no effort. You are safe here. You are calm here. You are home here. Let your body sink deeper into the mattress. Feel the weight of the day lift away. Like sand carried off by the desert wind, there is nothing left to do. Nowhere left to go. Only the gentle comfort of stillness. With each breath, let yourself drift further. Your thoughts soften. Your muscles relax. Your eyelids grow heavy. The night sky above Egypt glows with quiet stars. The river hums its eternal lullaby, and you are part of that eternity now. Sleep comes gently, like a cool breeze across the desert. Sleep comes peacefully, like the river flowing in silence. Sleep comes endlessly, like the pyramids watching the stars. Rest now, breathe slowly, and let go. Good night.